All right, this is DH Paradox with episode 6 of the HHT podcast. And I am joined with, I've got Viking and Talpa with me. One second while I... Hey everybody, this is DH Paradox. And I'm joined today by Talpa and Viking Hammer 73. Today we're going to be talking about Farm Sim and how they have many hours invested in the game, and we talk about why they enjoy it so much. I do have live chat enabled on both Facebook and YouTube. I'm simultaneously live broadcasting to both Facebook and YouTube right now. So if you're joining us on one of those platforms, you are able to chat live with us. However, I won't be paying attention to chat until later on in the show. But feel free to, tell us that you're here, or if you do have any questions, I'll try to read them at some point during the show. So yeah, let's bring on the guests. Here we go. Talpa, why don't you go first?
Oh, hello everybody. And as Paradox said, my name is Talpa, and as you can tell, I am from sunny England. I am a real life farmer as well as a sim farmer, so call that sad or great or whatever you want. But yeah, that's about me. So hello, and thank you to Paradox for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, Viking, tell us, say hello, tell us about you. Oh, sorry, I gotta unmute you. Go
There
for
we
it.
go. Yeah, there we go. Hello, everyone. Viking Hammer 73 here. I'm from Alberta, Canada. Um, let's see, what should I say? I'm a sim farmer, play a bunch of different sim games, but farming sim and trucking sim are the two top games I play normally. But yeah, got a lot of time into farming sim. And, yeah, I want to thank Paradox as well for the invite to come on this podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And yeah, well, I guess I should say too. I used to farm when I was a kid until my allergies got really too bad and couldn't be on the farm anymore. And then, but I've gone back from time to time for the last time I was on the farm. I helped my cousins out on kind of the family farm for a couple of years straight there, and so yeah, didn't have to deal too much with allergies at that point. So maybe I'm starting to grow out of them. Fun
Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys, for taking your time and joining me for this episode 6, and pretty exciting. So yeah, let's talk about
thing.
Farm Sim. So you guys have quite a few hours in the game. I think you said what 13,000 across all
Yeah,
the
I've got
different.
about 13,000 hours into all of the games that Farm Sims put out from Giant. Yeah, probably. Well, since I played, I got into it the later stages of when 2013 came out on console, and so played it for not too overly long, and then then I was hardcore into from 15 right up until 22. Been hardcore into it ever since.
Cool. Cool.
I don't
How
mind
about
getting
you, Talpa?
fancy toys
Did you?
still, but
Yeah, pretty much the same story. I started out actually on a really terrible laptop on 2013, and then lost my laptop due to technical issues, and went on to console. And it was pretty much the only game I played along with Skyrim. Um, so I I'm not sure how many hours I actually put into the games across like all the years, but I couldn't even hazard a guess. Like literally at one point it was the only thing I played, and I got made redundant from a job, and when I was unemployed it was literally all I did all day was play Farming Simulator. So to hazard a guess, I'd say probably nearly 15,000 hours if I had to guess, probably somewhere in that region. Probably the same as Viking, if not a little bit more.
Oh wow. Wow. What would you say keeps you coming back to it? Like what's the draw? What makes it so
Mm,
addicting?
that's a really good question, and I've had people say to me, because obviously I grew up on a dairy farm, an arable farm. I've worked on farms pretty much all my life. I work on a farm now, um, and people say you must be crazy to work on a farm and then come home to work on another farm. And it's like there's this there's just this magic about Farming Simulator, and you can't really put your finger on what it is, because until you play it you don't really understand how addictive it is. Like, most people who've never played the game might think, oh, it's going to be boring, I'm going to be sat in a field going up and down. And yes, you are doing that sometimes, but like there's just this sweet spot that they've found with the game that keeps you coming back and keeps you wanting to do the next job and save up for your next tractor and your next piece of machinery. There's a real pride in getting your next thing, like working towards getting your big spud harvester or your big combine or whatever it is. um and yeah, it's just it's not that I can't really put a finger on what it is, but it just keeps you coming back for more.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. I definitely feel that.
yeah, and for me, it speaks to me kind of like Talpa being a farmer. Not that I'm currently a farmer, but yeah, farming, having a lot of farming experience in my past and stuff like that. I don't know. It just speaks to me. There's something about the farm, about being out in the country, the farm, whether it's even in a sim or real life kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Farming sim, it just speaks to me. There's just something about it where it just keeps drawing me back. And then they add new things with each new addition to the game, or more DLCs. Like Top for 22, they just added the bumps and hoses pack, and like they keep adding all this like good content and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of different aspects as to why I keep playing the game, but it's just uber addicting, and that's all I could really say.
I mean, I would just add to it as well. It's probably the most relaxing game I have ever played. Like,
Mhm.
there's no, when you'll play like an FPS game, or some games are quite anxiety inducing.
Mhm.
Like you can get sort of wrapped up in the game, and it brings, your palms are sweating, and you're like sort of getting anxious. But Farming Sim, you can play at any pace. You just sat there, you can have your music on, you can sit back, relax. Like, there's no pressure to the game whatsoever. You know, it's just you're just in your own little world, and I think that is so appealing for a game. You know, it just takes you away from. It got me through a lot of stressful times, to be honest. You know, it was just you'd get lost in the game. It was,
Absolutely.
you know,
I feel that 100%. Here, you know, here lately, I've been needing to relax more, and it's definitely one of those, relaxing kind of games. Um, Truck sim and flight sim as well. Very relaxing. Just, there's really no pressure, unless you want there to be.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Or
like you
it's
said, you can
really,
play it at your own pace.
yeah, exactly.
What kind of let's see. What are y'all's favorite things to do in Farm Sim? Do you prefer like animals? Is there a particular type of crop that you prefer to plant and harvest, or working on building a factory of some kind, or
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess coming from a dairy farming background, like looking after cows and doing like mixed ration and getting into the milk production and stuff is kind of my bread and butter because I know so
Mhm.
much about it, and it sometimes it takes me back to the family farm with my granddad screaming at me covered in cow muck, you know. um but yeah, that speaks to me. But to be honest, like I haven't really got into the factory side of things just yet. I'm pretty new to FS22. Um, so I'm still kind of learning about the game in terms of production chains and all the rest of it. Um, so yeah, I mean, watch this space, I guess. Um, but I think the Giants adding that to the game, I think it is amazing because it's opened up such a variety of things that you can do. You know, you don't just have to be a farmer. You can run your own bread making business. You can run your
Mhm.
own carpentry business. You can make clothes. You know, you don't have to just look after animals and do crops.
Right.
I mean, yes, that's kind of a starting point, but you don't have to just do that. You know, you can get semi trucks and haul stuff around the map if you want to. You know, it's so yeah. For me, I guess working with cows is like where it's at for me. I really enjoy that for
Gotcha.
sentimental reasons more than anything, I guess.
Gotcha. What about you, Viking? What's your favorite thing to do in Farm Sim, would you say?
I'm kind of same as Talpa. We had a lot dealt with a lot of cows and stuff like that on the farms and the ranches that I grew up and stuff on. And so yeah, I definitely like dealing, growing cows, whatever, dealing fat. The other thing I really like is like the harvest side of farming. Like I've always enjoyed running the combines, running the hay cutters, whether it be a hay bind or like a hay swather, whatever. Like I like the planting part, but I find more fun in getting the finished product in the end. So that's kind of what I look forward to and enjoy doing more. Like say, yeah, spring's nice, whatever, and planting's fun, yay. But harvesting and hauling it all and making your money,
Mm.
seeing the end side, have your finished product, stuff like that. That's what I enjoy the most part out of the game. Bailing, like I know Talpa likes to bail. We play the game a lot together, so Talpa likes loading bales. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no, I've gotten into a bit of the production stuff as well, especially when I first got into the game. but more I just deal with like what my cows need to sustain themselves, and like grain and cereal crops, and like I'll do potatoes too or whatever. But we've learned on doing some of the big 4X maps and stuff like that that we've been playing around on that some of them big potato fields aren't worth it in the end because it takes forever and ever to get it harvested.
Right.
So yeah, basically reserve the potato fields for the smaller ones so you can get them over and done with a little bit quicker. But yeah, I'm bigger on like the cereal crops, grain crops, stuff like that, canola, barley, wheat. That's mainly what I grow. Like I say too, that helps sustain the cattle side of my said farming industry.
Right.
So yeah, so that's basically what I enjoy the most out of farming, and what I do the most on my maps and stuff like that. And also I try and base what I grow and do more on my area, like where I'm at here in southern Alberta. So kind of like that's why I like playing some of the bigger maps as well, like the Navajo Manitoba map. It's a couple provinces away from me, so it's you know and then like Talpa, he's got a map that's real close to him, like just
Yeah,
down
yeah. The map
so.
I play. Oh, sorry, Viking, to cut
Oh
across you.
no, I'll get there.
Attingham Park is literally like about 15 miles away from where I live. So, like, I see the road signs on the map, and the map is taken from a Google, a satellite image, so it is spot on. I mean, obviously, some things are different, but like the
That's really cool
area,
though.
you know,
That's very creative.
yeah.
The map maker to do that, take like a snapshot of
Mhm.
the, a Google image and make the map from that. I think that is so cool, you know. And you being able to go there in real life, and now you're able to go there in the game as well, and it's,
Yeah,
just like it.
yeah.
That's really cool. And certain maps are geared towards are better suited for different certain things, right? Some maps are good for things, but there's uh, some maps are better for, say, forestry.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I mean, a massive shout out to the modding community on Farming Simulator, because they have enabled a player, like, you can get maps that are just forestry, right? Where
Hmm.
you can, it's a massive forest, and
Right,
you just cutting trees down, and eventually you can even turn some of that land into farmland, and develop the map yourself. And
right.
then you've got like mining maps as well,
Hmm.
and you can run excavators, you can run dump trucks. Like, there's just an endless sort of variety of stuff that you can do thanks to the modding community. It's
Definitely.
just
Absolutely, yeah,
amazing.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
Kudos
most
to all the modders out there.
definitely. And most of it is, available in the in-game mod hub. There's a downloads section right in the main menu where you can go and grab this stuff, and completely free.
Mhm.
And it's just it's a wonderful game. I was gifted 19 shortly after it came out. I actually won it on a Twitch stream. The guy was giving away copies of FS19 like the week of its release, and so I won a copy of that. And then a friend in Discord got me FS22. He pre-ordered it for me, so because he wanted someone to play with. But for me at least, FS22 was broken um, initially when it first came out. Of course, it has seasons, right? And I didn't want to play it with seasons because I was used to 19. not having seasons, and so I wanted to kind of run it like I was doing with 19, right? So um, I tried turning off rocks and seasons, and they didn't seem to turn off for me. So, and it was like that for me for some time. Also, it didn't seem to want to work well with my controller, uh, which was kind of weird. But um, so yeah, I uninstalled it and didn't go back to it for a while, and eventually I'd try it again, and same issue. So um, only till recently have I started getting back into it and really starting to enjoy it now that they've fixed it. So works well with my controller. I'm able to turn off seasons and plant what I want when I want, and yeah, been enjoying it. So it's
Yeah, and I have like heard from a few people that they got kind of turned off to the game because of seasons, and because they were kind of forced into playing the game like in that format.
right,
And I think it kind of put a lot of people off that they brought seasons in and kind of did that change. But um obviously, like, now you can turn all that off. You can play it like you play the old ones. You don't have to play it with seasons and with rocks. I mean, as much as a veteran I am to the game, like, I turn rocks off, I turn weeds off. Like, I don't run it hyper realistically because I've done all that in real life. If I can cut a corner and switch it off with a button, uh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
right,
do that. You don't have to be like, you know it's you can make it as relaxed as you want. it's
right.
it's not it's not gonna sort of ruin your day you know
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's nice to have the option to turn it on or
yeah.
off depending on how
And I
someone
think,
likes to play
again,
it.
with the options, I think it depends how established your farm is as well. Because, like, in terms of seasons, like, I'll have 2-day months. I'll run seasons, but I'll run 2-day months or even 1-day months at the start of the game. Because when you haven't got an established farm, you don't want long, drawn out months and seasons. You want to, like, bang through those days quickly because you haven't got a lot to do. So,
Right.
like, but as your farm grows, you can grow the realism experience, right? You can grow everything else with that. And I think that's an important sort of thing to do, is as your farm grows, grow the realism, because you've got time to explore all the avenues of farming then.
Yeah, get used to the maps
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Find any of the hidden treasures,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, it's so nice to have all these options and be able to just play it the way you like.
Yeah, that's kind of how I do it too. Like, I start out, if I'm starting a new map the first year or first season, I enjoy the seasons, so that was kind of a nice addition to farming sim that I enjoyed. So FS won't lose me. They're gonna have to do something pretty hardcore to lose me as a gaming fan for buying their stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's just nice that like, that's one thing I like, and I do like the plowing, but all that kind of stuff, the weeds, the rocks, I enjoy that. But at the same time, in the beginning, I always start with that stuff turned off for the first season until, like Talpa says, you get a little bit more established. You're getting used to the map, everything else, how it all works as well, and then you start bringing in some more of the realism if that's how you want to roll, kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, your favorite map, Viking, right now is what? Nadenthal?
Yeah, it's a toss up between
Green Valley.
Nadenthal,
Green
Manitoba.
Valley.
Well, yes.
Green
That's what I was gonna say there, Talpa. Yeah, then there's one that DJ Modding did, and quite a few of us have grabbed it off of his Facebook page because he doesn't upload anything to the Mod Hub and stuff. From what I understand, you can get all his stuff right off of his Facebook page. But he has this map called Green Valley, Nebraska 4X, and it is an absolutely beautiful map. It's big. It's a 4X map. The layout of it's really good. Nice big fields. Nice scenery. The backdrop is really nice. You're kind of nestled in a valley in Nebraska. But yeah, no, it's a really really nice, well done map, and so it's probably going to get a lot of time put on it. Like
just
hundreds and
don't
hundreds and hundreds of hours.
just don't ask him how much grass there is
Oh,
to cut, right?
dude, I have.
Wow.
I'm only half done picking it up, and I filled the big blue silo, the fermenting silo. So it's got 600,000 liters that can hold. And yeah, I've picked up half that grass that I cut that other day when we were live streaming. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna need to cut grass for a while because yeah, I think we're good. But yeah, it's just a very big map. It's absolutely well done, and it's beautiful. Like I gave Talpa and well, I gave you Paradox a tour. Talpa, he's come and worked on it stuff too. So yeah, kind of give you the fly around and just kind of showed you what it looked like there, Paradox, and
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really nice map. So it's gonna, yeah, like I say, it's gonna
it did
get.
look amazing. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
very nice map.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
definitely is. It, it feels it feels real. Like
Mhm.
some maps that you play, they kind of feel like you're in a cartoon, or they feel like, and that's no disrespect to any modders because they all do a fantastic job, and I could never do what they do. But some maps just don't feel right.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, there's
Green
some of
Valley is a map that feels like you could be there. It feels like you could be right in that field or wherever, it feels like a nice place to be.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Talpa, would you say your favorite map is Addingham Park
Right now, yes.
right now? Yeah.
Um, and I think it will take a hell of a map to beat that. Like, I think probably because Calmsden was my other favorite, because Oxygen David, if you know FS, you know that name. He is a amazing map modder. Um, um, so he did Calmsden, and I started playing on that, but I just found the map kind of too small. Like there wasn't any towns that you drove through, and there wasn't you were just based out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, it was a really lovely map, but just not quite big enough and expansive enough for me. So when Attingham Park came along, which I was late to in FS19 because it actually came out on FS19, but it was at the very end of 19. So
Mm.
GB Modding released it on FS22, and I was pretty much waiting for the release. Like,
Yes, you were. You were like
I was like,
two
I
weeks in
can't wait for
advance. You
this
were
map. Yeah.
talking about that map. Yeah, once you
So,
heard it
and
announced.
obviously being my local area, it was like, it just, it's just awesome that I can play around the area I live, right? So, but
Absolutely.
the map itself, it's. I mean, you've seen it, Paradox. The
Hmm.
scenery is gorgeous. Like
Hmm.
it's in a beautiful setting. You've got the river,
It is.
lovely
It's
bridges.
absolutely
It's
beautiful area.
so at the moment that's my favorite map. But I'm kind of eagerly anticipating that Oxygen David is gonna release something
Based right on your farm.
as good. If it was based on my farm, yeah. I did think maybe I could get in touch with a modder somehow and, invite them to the farm and actually say, create this, would you want to create this area? But yeah, I don't know how that would go. So, but yeah, definitely my favorite map so far.
All right.
How about yourself, Paradox?
Well, you know, with 19, I pretty much stayed just on Felsbrunn in 19. Really the small map, because it I used it as just a relaxing game, right? So, and I stuck to only planting and harvesting soybean. So um, I would just do the few fields around that initial area that you were given. There was a small field. I can't remember the field numbers at the moment, but something like field 20, 19, 18, and 17, I think. So just those four fields, like three kind of small to medium size fields, and then that small field, just plow, plant, and harvest soybean on those four fields. And that was, that's what I did in 19, so now just recently, starting to get into 22, now that I'm able to play it, um, I did see that Felsbrunn was available. Someone had converted it from 19, which is cool, and I have loaded it as a single player map. And yeah, they did a good job with it. Um, and yeah, I'm doing the same thing that I did in 19.
So you are the
But
soybean king, then? That's what you're saying.
I guess you could say that, yeah. Um, Now, as far as multiplayer, I've started getting into multiplayer and figuring that out. I've even rented a server, and you guys have been on it. But as far as multiplayer, I initially tried Welker's Farm, which was recommended by someone in our Discord.
It's a great map, actually.
And
Great
yeah,
map.
I like that map. And it's one of those that's also based on a real world location.
hmm
Um, really cool.
And they have their own YouTube channel, actually, Welker Farms. I'm pretty sure I've watched them.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you are right there, Talpa.
I
yeah,
did not
yeah,
know that. Okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
cool, cool. I'll have to search for them and check out their
Mhm.
videos.
Mm.
Yeah,
Cool.
follow him or subscribe to him on YouTube.
But right now I'm using um, what is the map? Stone Valley, I think it
Oh yeah,
is.
Stone Valley. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
one that was
Illinois, yeah.
uploaded onto the server now. Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems to be really nice. I like Stone Valley, um, and people, my friends who connect to it and help me out on the farm, yeah, I think they like it a little better than Welker's. I don't know. It seems like the atmosphere is a little nicer on.
Yeah.
I don't know. With Welker's, you got really big fields and everything. There's it's a pretty big map. And don't get me wrong, it's nice, but I don't know. I think Stone Valley just has a better feeling to me. I don't know. I don't know what it is about it,
Yeah.
but they're both great maps.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. Um, how many mods do you like to run, Talpa?
Uh, Well, I always think that I'm not excessive with the mods. So, like, but I guess sort of 50 to 100, and I'm not even sure if that's excessive, but like, it, I only play with mods that either I like personally. Like, there's a Land Rover Defender mod, right?
Mm.
I'm probably never going to use it on the farm for any kind of work or anything, but I like Land Rover Defenders, so I've got one, right? So, but I only tend to run mods that either enhance gameplay or add some kind of decoration. Like, I like
Mm.
decorative things, because when I'm working a map, I like to develop areas of the map myself. So I like building roadways. I like building my own, placing my own buildings. Um, I like creating my own forests as well. That's one thing I love doing on a map, is picking an area and planting a forest and then putting roadways through it, and just developing a map, right? So that's where my modding sort of pathway goes, is into decorative or buildings, anything to enhance realism sometimes as well. um so yeah, it's a very personal thing, where your mod sort of pathway goes. I mean, some people obviously just download everything and they're like, they have hundreds and hundreds of mods, and like, but me, I like to kind of, there's a reason why I have every mod. I don't just get a mod for the sake of it, or because it's new. It's a very personal thing.
Sure.
Yeah, likewise. Same here. Kind of a personal thing, and I think I have. Well, I'm same with Talpa, between 50 and 100 is kind of where I normally run. Um, and for me too, besides it being of a personal, kind of nature like that, like Talpa said. Um, if it's the mods too that I have, if they're not in game and it's like something I've run on the farm, actually had my hands on, but I don't see it in like base game, then I'll go grab that mod kind of thing. So I like to have everything that I've operated while I was working on the farm at hand, whether, like Talpa says, whether you use it or not. Because like I picked up an old one of the mods is the old F100 pickup truck. And I think that was done by 82 Studios, I do believe. But yeah, no, it's not that I don't know if I'll ever drive it again on the farm, but that's what we had on the farm as for a pickup truck. It was an old 1970s F100 Ford. So that was our
Nice.
bombing around vehicle. Boy, and we also had an old Dodge Fargo as well. So I don't see one of those in the game for a mod yet. So once they add a Dodge Fargo, I'll probably grab that too.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah,
And
it's just it's kind of like it's kind of nostalgic, like value or whatever, has personal meaning, or yeah, if it's just something you don't see in like base game, equipment what they have in the store, then yeah.
Sure.
I mean, that's a really good point actually that Viking made, is that obviously we have real life experience. So if it's anything that kind of takes you back to that experience, you know,
Mm.
like the Land Rover Defender for me, like my granddad had one, and like it was a part of the farm. It was, so, or there might be a tractor that we had or whatever, so it's like, for us it's like a deeper meaning, because you get to drive what you drove when you were a kid, or you get to,
Mhm.
it takes you back to that time. So
Very cool. Yeah. For me, it's more about making the game kind of easier. Like I have the multi-fruit buying station, for example, where I can just place that one thing on my farm and buy anything, lime, seed, fertilizer, anything I need, right? Even I can even buy grain from it. Like if I want to buy wheat or soybean, I can do that, and it's nice to be able to just pull up and buy whatever product I need, and instead of having to buy bags or pallets, and manipulate that stuff, and then you have leftover product, you know. Um, yeah. Also having to buy extra equipment like forklift and a trailer to haul the pallets or bags, that gets kind of cumbersome. So for me, just being a casual player that just wants to pick it up and play it for 30 minutes and not be too serious with it, you know, getting stuff like that, yeah, super super easy. And also found a selling point where you can place it down and sell anything, any product, right? Um, which again is very handy. So I don't have to go all the way to the other side of the map to sell XYZ product, right? So if I cut down some trees, for example, I don't have to necessarily take it to the sawmill on the at the other end of the map, right? I can just take it to my selling point that I placed, and yeah, it'll take it.
Yeah.
But it'll also take any harvested material or any of that. So it makes it super easy for me.
Mm,
It's just a very flexible, game. Uh, I
and
love that you can do so much with it,
mm,
and I think eventually as I get more and more familiar with it and more, I feel like I haven't really, even though I had 19 since its release, I didn't really expand on doing more than just soybean. So I think this go around with 22, I'm gonna start taking baby steps into, doing other stuff.
yeah.
Maybe animals, and maybe eventually get into production, factories, and who knows, I'll
And
start it.
what's great as well is that there are easy routes into things. Like you
Hmm.
don't need, like you said for yourself, it's ease of gameplay. There are
Hmm.
plenty of mods and settings within the game that can make it a simple game to play. Like obviously not everyone's a farming expert, right?
Right.
And when you first fire up farming sim, it can be a daunting game. Like just like you feel like you're in at the deep end, and like just the controls, to be honest, can be like a bit, even when I started playing it, it's like, what are all the controls? How,
Hmm.
like, it's just pretty crazy. But once you get past that and you get into the gameplay, and you can, there's money mods that you can get, subsidy mods where you can, you know, earn money easier, um, and you can progress as fast as you want. You're not just stuck doing a crop rotation or whatever. You've got the money to invest in other things. And
Hmm.
like in terms of animals, like there's easier animals to start with, like chickens and sheep being two
Mhm.
prime examples. Chickens just need grain and sheep just need water and grass. So like that is a good route to take if you're new to doing animals, is just start with chickens and sheep because they're nice and easy to look after. Feeding is easy, and there's product at the end which is actually good money. Wool and eggs are pretty good money, to be fair. So there's easy routes into kind of every aspect of the game, really.
Yeah, that's great. I remember. Um, just getting started with the game in 19, uh, plowing, for example, you get the angled plows, right? And those are cumbersome for me because I can never get a straight line with those things, right? So um, I've obviously found a mod that has a plow that you unfold that gives, it's squared. It folds out this way so that, you know, and makes it much easier to plow a field for me, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I use the exact same
mhm.
square plow. I cannot. I hate the angled plows,
Yeah.
like what we call a subsoiler, right? Which is basically a square plow. Folds out square, and you drag it's that's yeah. Angled plows that you've got to turn at every pass as well. No, thank you very much. Like, no, just no. So you're not alone when you hate those plows. Trust me.
Like, yeah, it took even longer, even in the real days
Yeah.
when you couldn't flip your plow. You always had to
Mm.
go from you worked out from the outer edge of each side of the field inward, so it
Mm-hmm.
took like that much longer to actually plow a field back in the
Oh
old
man.
days because you had to do one strip, go around to the other end of the field, do another strip, come back around, do a strip, go to the other end,
Yeah.
down and around. You're just doing one big circle, like it's almost like when you're running a combine. If you want to keep like the way you should actually do it, you keep your pipe side always out. That's where like in old school before you got like these nice fancy single tine or single row chisel plows and stuff like that, and these pan shear plows, and you know you always were stuck going one way, where now you've got more options, especially with like the mods in the game and stuff like that too. It gives you way more options with the way technology has improved agricultural implements and stuff like that over the years as well. So yeah, I actually have one of the mods where it's a straight plow, 7 row straight plow, or seven pan plow
Mm.
that we used to pull behind on the farm too. I never use it, but I have the mod for it.
Yeah, definitely. It's mods are where it's at. Um,
Hmm. Oh yeah, it just helps to bring a little more realism to the game, or more functionality to the game as well. So yeah, mods rule, others drool.
right. Um, what what else do you think we should add about Farm Sim for like anybody that's maybe interested in the game, maybe never played Farm Sim before, but is curious about it, or um, you know, a newcomer that may be looking to buy it, or
Mm. I would say don't be intimidated. Like, just try it out and give it time. Like, when you first play it, it's going to be difficult. If you have got no knowledge of farming, I mean, obviously there's a tutorial, right, that gets you kind of started in the very basics. Um, but if you've got no farming knowledge, it can be really challenging game. Like, it's not going to be easy, but give it time, learn it slowly. Just take it at your own pace. There's no sort of pressure for you to do anything. It's just learn the game basically, and I can pretty much guarantee that you will become addicted, and that you will start playing it night and day in, day out, and you'll be playing it, and you'll sit there and you'll think, oh, I'll just do this last job, and then
Yeah.
it's like 3 a.m. and it's like, yeah, I need to
Mhm.
really go to bed now because um but yeah, just give it a chance. I would say don't be intimidated, but when you do play it, it probably will be intimidating, but give it a chance to just give it a chance.
Mm,
And
absolutely.
start small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Try not to take on too much at one time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a pretty easy game to get addicted to, though. I was going to mention another thing earlier that I'd mentioned to you there, Talpa and Paradox, the other day about actually even playing Farm Sim on a on a mobile device while actually being out of the field, actually planting fields and stuff like that. Like something like I got my cousins into, and that was like Farm Sim 15 on the mobile app. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Sitting in your tractor plowing a field or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you're on your mobile phone playing Farm Sim at the
Yeah.
same time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an addicting game, but yeah, like Telpa says too, as far as giving it a chance. Like I've even, well, we know a few people here recently, like personally, who were like naysayers on never play Farms and whatever. And now they're like hardcore addicted to it. But
Yep.
like other people equate it too that I've talked to that say it's like watching grass grow. Well, yes, it is, but at the same time, there's always lots of other things to do on the farm to kind of keep you busy while you're waiting for your crops to grow and stuff too. Because there's,
Mm-hmm.
especially now with seasons, well, even before too, you can do it, but like there's always contracts to do. So, there's always stuff to do to keep you busy. Or if not, you can always sleep a day or, you
Mm-hmm.
can speed the time up to get to the next day, the next season, whatever on the season scale. Like there's always something to do, but yeah, it's just give it a chance. Don't be a naysayer like a lot of people who we now know that are like just getting addicted to the game
Yep.
because
Mm.
you got to give it a shot. Like it's a great game. I
Absolutely.
definitely give it 2 thumbs up.
And like any game, it's not without its quirks and little glitches and whatnot. Like I was before the stream, I was talking to Talpa about having a problem with finishing a contract where I have the option to complete, but nothing happens when I hit the complete button. Like the borrowed equipment went away, but I don't actually get paid for the job, and it stays in the list as completed. But yeah, it's just a game bug, and
Mm,
like I said, any game is gonna have a bug here or there, but um, other than it's still a great title. I've been I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I'm going to continue having a lot of fun with it, especially with friends on Stone Valley on the server. That's it's a lot of
I
fun.
mean, there's a reason why it outsold Battlefield on,
True.
you know, and big title. I think it was two big title games, Battlefield and something
Call of
else,
Duty was the other one.
something like that. I mean, there's a reason why it
Yeah.
outsold that. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's got like a cult following, Farming Simulator. And all I would say about 22 is that it's still in its infancy. Like in my mind, it's still got a long way to go. Like probably 19 is still my favorite, and going back to like 15, I think um, I thought that was going to be like impossible to beat, but
Mm-hmm.
19 eventually got there, and 22 will eventually get there. It always seems to blossom into the best game when the next one releases. So, and that's another point for anyone wanting to get into it, right? Don't just go and buy 22 because 19 is fantastic. Like, and there's plenty of mods on there to make it probably better than 22, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would say go and buy an older version and just give it a go. because there's still plenty of content on those games, and you're paying less money. You know,
True.
that's another good way into it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Multiplayer would probably be limited because you'd only be able to play with people that have that same
Mm.
version of the sim. But yeah, if you wanted to get in cheap and try it out, see how you'd like it.
And there are
Yeah.
some fantastic maps on 19, like really quality maps.
Yeah. I do remember in the early days of 19, um, there was a farm sim streamer that I knew. He wasn't really all that impressed with 19, early on. He was like, "Man, I think they could have done a better job with this." And 17 was his favorite. He had this favorite map
Sorry,
on
17.
yeah. He had this favorite map on 17, and yeah, he kept going back to 17 and playing on that map, and plus there were others, I would stream Farm Sim 19 because I really liked it, and helped me relax and whatever. And people would come into my chat and be like, uh, "You like 19? Don't you think 19 is broken in this way and this way?" And I'm like, I just play on Felsbrunn.
I just
You know,
combined soybean. I mean,
right?
uh,
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm just a simple soybean farmer. So yeah.
come on to our farms. We will teach you the ways.
Right, right. But yeah, so yeah, there were some people that were, given negativity towards
Mm.
19 early on, and
Yeah, I think it's
it
been the same with 22 though. Like
yeah,
I've heard a lot of negativity around it for one reason or another, but the game is still young, and you've got to give the modders also a chance to develop the mods for the new engine, and there's changes which you've got to allow some kind of catch up with. You can't just expect it to be out of the box
right,
better than 19 or 17, right? You've got to give it chance, because it is such a mod heavy game that it kind of giants kind of rely on the modders to build the game, right? They give them a base game to work with, and they rely on the modding community. Like, whether that's a right or wrong thing to do, like, the modding community exists. So, you know, I think that there's an amount of catch up to be done.
okay. I think I'm going to open it up to any comments or questions. If anybody out there in chat has any comments or questions, um, let me know. Uh, and I'm having a problem with chat.
Oh no.
I think I can see it. I can't tell if there's anybody watching currently or if there's anyone in chat, but just
Speak to us.
yeah.
Ask us anything you want.
Well, I don't know about anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and
Yeah,
keep
not
this
not not
PG.
quite. Yeah, not
On
quite anything.
on topic, yes.
Right.
um, yeah, I really enjoyed having you guys on the show. I'm glad you guys
It's been a pleasure.
could join me and make this our
I mean,
my first
hopefully we can
video
do it again.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a paradox.
This is my first foray in doing not only a video cast but also using a different platform to stream it and have guests on the show at the same time, you know, in video. So I did try doing it in episode 3, but that was a failure. So I think this go was much more successful, and it's a learning curve. I'm getting better, I think, with each episode. So
Mm.
again, anybody has any feedback, you know, good, bad, I'm open.
Yeah.
So
Just good though. Just good.
Yeah.
Just nice. Yeah.
all right, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. This
Alright.
was episode 6, and Viking Talpa, thanks again.
You bet. Thank you
And
for
Thank
having
you.
us again
Thank you.
there, Paradox, for sure.
Yeah.
It's, good times.
absolutely. And let's see. Um, yep, I think I'm just gonna end it here. So I was gonna
Alrighty.
switch scenes, but I can't seem to get it to work. So okay, so my apologies.
Bye. Bye,
See y'all later.
everybody.